What really happened to Shakre Khalili? Let's find out. So, if you watched part 1, you'll remember that Shakre Khalili disappeared without any trace, and for years, the only explanation anyone had was Murli's version. And according to him, Shakre had left home to pursue a spiritual life and had chosen to cut off all the contacts with the family. But the more investigators looked into the case, the more one question refused to go away. If Shakre had really left on her own, why had she vanished so completely? I mean, there were no phone calls, no letters, no bank activity. In fact, there was no evidence that, she had started a new life somewhere else. So, as the years passed, investigators began to wonder if they had been looking at the case wrong way all along. Perhaps this wasn't a story about a woman who had disappeared. Perhaps it was a story about someone who had never left. That thought brought investigators back to one place at the center of this mystery, her home. From the outside, nothing seemed unusual. It looked like an ordinary house. The rooms were quiet. Everything appeared exactly as it should. But investigators believed the answers hadn't disappeared. They had simply been hidden. So, to continue the search, workers were called in and asked to carefully break through a section of the floor. No one knew what they were about to uncover. Then, human skeletal remains were discovered beneath the floor. For a moment, the entire house fell silent. Everyone present understood that this was no longer a missing persons investigation. It had become a murder investigation. The remains were then carefully recovered, sent to the forensic examination, and after the forensic investigation and the evidence collected by the police, investigators concluded that the remains were of Shakire Khalili. The woman, believed to have walked away from her life, had never actually left her house. As I was reading through the case files and reports, I kept thinking about one thing. For nearly 3 years, her daughter searched for answers. They hoped, they waited, they wondered, whether one day their mother would simply return home. Instead, they received the answer no family ever wants. Imagine someone you love goes missing. Every phone call feels like it could be them. Every knock on the door brings the moment of hope. And until you know what happened, you're left between hope and heartbreak. Now, coming back to the investigation, it became more focused on one person, Murli Manohar Mishra. He got arrested and police began building a murder case. Now, here's something that many people misunderstand about criminal investigation. You know that not every murder case has DNA, not every case has CCTV footage, not every case has someone who witnessed the crime. This case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, which means that the job of the investigators was to convince the court that, taken together, the evidence pointed to one conclusion. And according to the prosecution, Murli's claim that, Shakre had voluntarily left didn't match the evidence uncovered during the investigation. The defense, however, denied those allegations and challenged the prosecution's case. As with every criminal trial, the court examined the evidence, and after hearing the case from both the sides, the trial found Murli Manohar Mishra guilty of murdering Shakre Khalili, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. In fact, the verdict was later challenged in appeal, but the conviction remained unchanged. Now, legally, this case had come to an end, but emotionally, it never truly could. And as I finished researching this case, one thought stayed with me. The most disturbing part wasn't simply that a murder had taken place, it was the years of uncertainty, a family waiting for answers, investigators refusing to give up, and the reminder that sometimes the truth can be hidden for years before finally coming to light. And before we end today's story, I want to leave you with this. True crime isn't about solving mysteries, it's about remembering the people behind those mysteries. Because behind every case file was someone's mother, someone's daughter, someone's sister, or someone's friend, or someone's whose story deserved to be told with care, accuracy, and respect. I would like to thank you for joining me on Grey Lantern Studio. If you enjoy well researched true crime from India and around the world, consider following the channel. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, no secret stays buried forever. I'm Triveni, and this is Grey Lantern Studio. Thank you.